Hello and welcome to a bonus episode of the McClaren Performance Podcast, where to start off with, I have a bit of an admission. So I'm a bit of a nightmare really, in a sense that I only ever really think about psychology and work. So when it comes to functioning like a normal person, I am actually a bit useless. I can't really cook any food. I'm kind of unorganised. I don't really know anybody's birthday. I actually can't remember anything or anyone if it has nothing to do with work. I don't know what's going on most of the time. On a side note, that is probably everything that myself and my dad have in common. But my main point is, I'm sure that's a lot of things that I'd like to change about myself. I very much know that's what a lot of other people would like to change about me. So the question is really, can I do that? Can I change? And can people actually change? I think it's something that a lot of us would like, whether it's someone who wants to change themselves for the better, or if it's a coach or teacher trying to make that change in one of their players, be it an attitude, a way of thinking, or just an improvement in performance. Can those things actually be influenced or made to be different? Because my first thoughts go to what we mean by change, to alter or modify, to make something new of what was once not there, to instill a characteristic or trait that someone had no trace of before, to take someone cruel and then make them kind, to give optimism to someone who wallows in self-pity, to create passion in someone where they once didn't care. And that is our instinct as a coach sometimes, to change them, to give them something that they once didn't have, something only we can give them, which I've kind of come to learn is not really what coaching is at all, because people aren't meant to be built upon. They're meant to be grown and guided into that. There's no sudden shift, some great change from nothing. The reality is that coaching and what we see as change in people, for me, is founded in the idea of determinism, the idea that the thoughts and actions of people, of players, are caused by previously existing factors. Our actions are caused by our nature, our biology, our environment, and how we're raised, and they are not random. Human behaviour, our interactions, are all coordinated and determined by many, many factors, and that often gives us the illusion of free will, the illusion that we choose how we act and choose who we are and choose to change. So you might say, but I want to change, I want to be a better person, I want to get up and do that job, I chose that, that was my free will, and I went and did that. I did it all because I wanted to. Well, I would argue that any change anybody wants to make in their life is purely determined by that person's biology and how that has interacted with that person's environment. Such a complex interaction of factors, it appears to be this random free will, giving the illusion of choice. My point being is that there is no real change in a person, just as there is no magic and there is no free will. There is no magical shift in what someone decides to be. That does not come from nothing. It's like, say, somebody walking down a path. They'll never magically teleport onto a different path, just as someone can't entirely change who they are. But the path they are on, that path may waver, may dip, may rise, may go anywhere. All a product of the path before it and the environment around it. So can you as a person change? Well, yes and no. You can't change paths, but the path itself may change. Take me again, for example, and my inability to function like a normal person. Those characteristics I have are determined by many, many factors. They're traits I've inherited, they're a part of my biology, they're written into my brain, controlled by my hormones, and very often swayed and influenced by my external environment. And that all makes me an incredibly useless Joshua McClaren. And that's very much fixed. But also in that, yes, I could adapt, I could learn, I could actually, write down people's birthdays and get a diary or something. I could try and cook a meal, but I don't really want to. It would take incredibly precise environmental influence, one that would resonate with my own kind of internal drive to set me on a path where I did any of that. In other words, I would have to be coached and want to be coached. So when you want to change other people, or in other words, coach other people, the idea of determinism, I think, is something you really need to understand. You cannot make someone different, just like you can't make me a different person. You can only inform and help shape the path I go down. And one thing my dad always says to me about coaching is that you have to get to know your players. The inexperienced coach may say to their players, I want you to be like this, and then become more and more confused and irritated as they do not then become that. Now, the experienced coach will come, will watch, will listen, will find out their players' stories and motivations, why they do what they do, and will then collaborate with those players, developing improvement which is informed by the players' own motivations. The first coach is trying to make someone be on a new path, make this magical shift into something they're just completely not. But the experienced coach, they're creating progress by guiding and shaping the path forward, continuing from the path set before. Watching, listening, caring are the foundations of which you can start to shift someone's path forward. In other words, a coach can think their job is to add and build onto what is already there, to be a builder, right? To make something. But their job is much more about growing. And in that way, they're much more like gardeners. I always end up falling back onto this tree analogy, but it's really my foundation of what I believe. You don't build players. You grow them, tending to their soil and roots, helping them grow into more of what they are, creating the best environment and keeping their minds right. That is long, sustainable improvement, not outright change. And your coaching in that is always limited and guided by that determinism. You're not changing people, you're shaping and guiding them. And let's not beat around the bush on this, because as a coach, what you're ultimately doing is trying to make your players winners. Winning games, winning leagues, winning trophies, ultimately building a team or a player that's fueling itself in consistently performing and striving for the highest standards. And I've been facing a question myself recently of, when building a winning team, how much can you shape and guide players into becoming that? And at what point do you know that that's not possible? And really you have to recruit those that are right. And in that thinking, I've been kind of guilty in using the word winner, whether that player is a winner or not. And the idea that can you or can you not change someone into a winner? And I say guilty of it because the idea of winner or a winning mentality is really kind of overly simplistic. But for me, I really see two kind of distinct category of player or athlete. You know, one enjoys the sport, one enjoys winning, enjoys being there, I would like to be a part of a winning team. But the other, I see them winning seconds. I see them winning, battles of thought in their own mind. I see them constantly create competition and then winning that all the time. And they don't hope to win games. They come entitled to it already. I believe they are the characteristics needed for winning and doing so consistently. Call it winning mentality, I don't know. But it's a Michael Jordan, it's a Cristiano Ronaldo. To me, there's something so innate to that constant thought process they have and their constant demanding approach they have on themselves for everything. The contradictory balance of slight insecurity and also the belief they're entitled to win everything. It's that I can't put my finger on, but still my question is, can it be grown in someone? Because my first instinct is to say that's something you're born with, or at least have nurtured into you through your developing years, that strong desire or need to win and improve. And so with that, to take someone normal and to change them into someone with that surely just isn't possible. Going back again to determinism, it's just too great a change as people are rooted in the biological and environmental factors that set them on their path. You can't just shift them and change them onto another so abruptly. And in that logic, it's why I go back to saying how important recruitment is. To recruit players that evidence those soil and roots, the evidence they have real desire, real insecurity, a real need to push and prove themselves, because maybe that kind of motivation that makes the very best is cultivated very early on and for a very long time. And I don't think there's any kind of motivational speech that's really going to change that. Or maybe I'm wrong, and that in fact you can change someone, anyone, into a winner. Can change their character to one that is driven, to make someone adopt the processes that will make sustained success in the future and make them want to do it. And maybe it's possible because maybe there are just problems in the words change and winners. And maybe talking about it like that is just wrong. Again, the inexperienced coach wants to change someone into their idea of what a winner is. And to do that just isn't possible. But what if instead of that, you help guide them into something that they want to be? It's the difference between telling a team to win a league and then simply asking them if they want to do it. The former attempts to change them and the other attempts to guide them. And my conclusion is that I think in life and in coaching, you should never really truly attempt to change anyone, to make them into something that you want them to be. Who are you to know that? And who are you to make that happen? Only the person themselves can want to make the steps along the path that may resemble any sort of change or improvement. Now, where you come in is to help guide them along what path they want to take. Because I think fundamentally, this is what I believe. Nobody really changes. They just learn to better utilize what they are. Thank you for watching and listening. I feel like I'm supposed to say like and subscribe and follow us on whatever. If you have any thoughts on what I've talked about, definitely do comment. I do enjoy reading everything. People continue to say a lot of nice things about what me and Dad are doing, and we really appreciate it. So thank you for that. But really thank you again for listening and watching, and I will see you again next week.